big question for you. What was the reasoning behind removing the gear stock in favor of touchscreen controls while keeping the turn signal stock?
Okay, turn signals.
Welcome everyone to the Model Y refresh deep dive with two amazing Tesla employees. They're going to introduce themselves in a little bit, but first off, thank you for coming out. Let's just give you guys a round of applause. The weather was horrible, so thank you for coming out. But what a privilege that we get to have the people that are working and breathing like just on the actual vehicle. And as we know, if you've been in the Model 3 from 2018 to the latest Model 3, you know the difference. And this thing does not disappoint. And this is the best-selling car in the world, both gas and electric. So for us to be able to speak with Tesla directly about this amazing product, I could not be more excited. And so thank you, Tesla. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Ashley. All of you guys, just for Allison, for making this happen. So let's just give the Tesla team a quick round of applause. So the way that this format is going to work, we're going to start off with some questions that we had already prepared, and then we're going to hand it over to the Tesla team, potentially to even walk around the car and just talk about what they're most excited about. And then after that, it'll just be kind of like, we'll shut off the mics and you can just ask them anything that's just top of mind. But I would love, I would love you guys to just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey, good evening. My name is Nathan DiGiusto. I'm the Director of Vehicle Engineering, responsible for the 3Y platform. And
Hi, good evening. My name is Emmanuel Amakia. I'm the Model Y Program Manager, and I've been working at Tesla for 7 years.
So I just want to say one thing. So these guys are literally, as we know, Tesla is literally turning on 4 production lines for the Model Y. And so we caught them on the perfect Tuesday night right before they're literally headed to Austin and then potentially China and other places afterwards, but they were also in places before. So they are literally, as we know, Tesla is turning on 4 Model Y production lines across the world. And these are the guys that are essentially helping and going pretty much all over the world to make this happen. So let's just give them another round of applause, and then I'm going to pass it to Kelvin to ask the first question.
All right, we're going to kick things off, guys. We're going to start with branding and design. The old Model Y was kind of like the big brother of the Model 3. They kind of looked alike, but as everyone can see here, the new Model Y has its own unique look. Was that a deliberate decision, and what was the design philosophy behind it?
Yeah, this was deliberate because when you look back when we were launching Model Y in 2018, our priority was to have as many parts as possible common with the Model 3. So we had headlamps and the chassis parts. So that was our priority in order to be able to minimize the amount of work we had to do and bring this product as fast as possible, ramping it up and having a common supply chain. But as we started to expand Model Y and became the best-selling car in the world, we started to have dedicated supply chain in all the regions. So now we have Model Y being built in 4 factories, 3 continents, close to 1 million cars, or over 1 million cars a year. So by doing that, we were able to now actually start having them divorcing from each other and actually have our own supply chain and own design. So that was really on purpose. And to answer your second question, the inspiration behind Model Y is really behind the Cybertruck and the Cybercab we recently announced, and really taking behind this light bar concept, one single pieces in the rear that you've seen with the Rear Robot event, for example.
Yeah, just to build on that, there were a lot of constraints in the original product from an aesthetic perspective. And credit to the team down in Los Angeles that did the design work. They really did an amazing job with what they had to work with, because the importance was breaking into the market, showing the world what EVs can do, making a product that had the utility to be able to attend to most people's needs. But yet now that we've got the opportunity to go to it and make an aesthetic that matches the vehicle, that shows lines up with the proportions of the vehicle better, and then brings in some of that newer aesthetic that we have from Cybercab and Cybercab and Cybertruck. It really gives the product a fresh new face.
Yeah, I'm just glad now I can tell the difference between the 3 and the Y. But one of the most important questions, I think of, it feels like, in Germany they had a couple of special colors over there, and now we know in Shanghai they have the glacier blue. So my question is, how come, or is the glacier blue coming to the US?
Yeah, so I think one of the real successes we've had here in North America is existing blue that we've got. And it's really quite popular over here. So I think we're keeping on with the existing blue at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the ideal answer, but we're working on new colors. More to come, I think, on this one. And I cannot comment more on the timing, but there's more colors. And if you put 2 and 2 together, when you look at the website, you can think there is some new colors coming. It takes some time for our factories to ramp it up, and we'll be able to announce it very soon.
All right. The front light bar, which you hinted at, it gives the Model Y a very distinctive look. What is the design philosophy behind that? What inspired you guys to go with that? And then similarly on the tail light, that's really different too, right? That bar. What was considered around the design choices for the rear light bar as well?
Sure. So I'm going to start at the rear end first,
Okay.
Because that rear tail lamp is really something special. It is a one piece. It is over 5 feet long, and it is a indirect reflective tail lamp, first of its kind in the world, where we're actually reflecting off the exterior body panel. It takes its inspiration from the Cybercab and the rear Cybercab light that's on that prototype that we have. So we've scaled that to the new Model Y, and we've kept it one piece, similar to what we did on the Model 3 refresh, where we kind of integrated those lamps into the deck lid. We've done the same thing here, so it's all one component all the way across. And that provides really that distinctive look, that distinctive glow that's really unique to the back of the car. And I think it really sets the car apart. Its uniformity and its width is really special, and the way that it illuminates over the badge is something really I think we all can appreciate. As I said, it's over 5 feet long. It is one piece, it goes in together. So that was really, I think, one of the main styling cues for the back of the car. On the front of the car, we have a light bar as well, again, borrowing in from our Cybertruck styling, and expanding on that. So having the full-length light bar, having that distinctive front Tesla look, that front Tesla appearance that I think is starting to become more ubiquitous with products like the Cybertruck, and now this product here as well.
So as we know, the Cybertruck, for example, does not have a logo pretty much on the whole outside of it. And I think in Shanghai, I believe that there is the Tesla logo, but in the US, there is no Tesla logo on the front. What was the thought behind that?
Yeah, the main reason and the design intent was to actually not have a logo. So that's what you're seeing in the US, that's what you're seeing in Europe as well. And the main reason is that if we believe that the Tesla car is like identifiable, you can see, you can recognize it's a Tesla, and we're confident that our design can separate itself from the rest. And if you look at it from clothing brand, for example, it's kind of a bit tacky on some brands where they're putting the badge and the logo everywhere, and some of the luxury brands, you don't even know the brand because they are that confident that they don't need to. And that's really, when we were working with friends on designing this car, was really about being confident behind the design we have that we don't need a T badge and have this clean front. That was really the top priority. The reason there is one in China is purely because of homologation. If we could have convinced the Chinese government to not have one, there would not be a T badge.
All right, great answer. Let's talk about range and efficiency. Everyone's wants to talk about range. Range anxiety is still a thing. The new Model Y has, I think, was it 2.8%? Is it more efficient in terms of range for the all-wheel drive trim? 320? Is that the range?
Yeah, so I think right now, if you look at the website, I think it's it's 320 versus 310. So when we put this on the website, we're still pending the EPA results. We actually got the EPA results like 24 hours ago, and what I can say is that it's actually more than 2.8. It's 5%.
Oh, wow.
We're just we're waiting right now on updating the website and getting the official, but. Cool. By the time you start posting this, we should have updated the website, and it's 5%. I know we're getting a lot of questions like, why do we not increase the battery pack size and to address range anxiety? But what we've been trying to do is not just like starting cramming more energy into our battery pack, because it also comes with higher cost, which would also come with a higher price and makes the car less affordable. So everything we've done really on this platform and on this trim long-range all-wheel drive has been really to improve efficiency. And you can see that on the front end, on the tires, everywhere. And I think one of the questions you had is, what is the biggest improvement we've done on the range? Is really around the brake system. So we improved the overall brake calipers by reducing the brake drags. And that's how we got most of the improvement you're seeing around the vehicle.
Yeah, and like really is about efficiency. Like EVs are about efficiency, as Emmanuel said. Like the easiest solution is to put more energy in the pack, but that's also the expensive solution. Efficiency is so important because what it means is not only is it more range, it's also cheaper to run because it's less kilowatt hours per mile. It's also faster to charge because you don't need as many kilowatt hours to charge, so your charging times are down. And it also means that the purchase price of the car is lower because the battery cost still is quite a significant portion of the battery of the car. So efficiency is absolutely critical. And while we've got some wins, like Emmanuel mentioned, really it is a case of, on the efficiency side, tackling it on every single part throughout the car. And we have done that for like, there's brake system is one, but there's tires, there's aerodynamics, there's low voltage loads, like just how much current draw does the low voltage system, even like there's an LED in the center console and how long is it on and how, like down to the milliwatt where we're like that focused on efficiency, because every electron that we can save is one that we put back in our customers' pockets.
Yeah, and I think the one you will look at it is like we've been really like focusing on every small detail, like Nathan is saying, but some people have noticed is like the skull cap on the mirror. This is one where it was like one of the late find where every time we go to the wind tunnel we find new improvements. The skull cap is not like several miles, it's like I think 2 to 3 miles, but it's like, again, it's like adding a little bit of improvement to get to those 5%. Okay.
Is that the little line on the mirror?
The line on the mirror, yeah, it's for range efficiency. It's not just like make it look cool, it's range and efficiency.
Yeah,
Skull cap, I love the name.
Yeah, it's just crazy just how you guys work ruthlessly on every little aspect for efficiency. You don't leave any stone unturned, which is crazy. I was talking with Ryan, he runs a podcast called Ride the Lightning, and we were just talking about the difference between the Model 3 performance in 2018, 2019 versus the latest one. And we know with this Model Y, I mean, this is the best-selling car in the world, and how big of an improvement for the 3 it was. So how would you guys say, like, how can you explain how the updated suspension, the quieter, like less wind noise, and the stiffer body structure work together to improve the handling and reducing the vibrations?
Yeah, that's a big question. And again, we have to tackle it across multiple systems. Like going back onto the aerodynamic, just starting with aerodynamics and then wind noise. Aerodynamics and wind noise are really quite complementary in that, like, if you are more efficient through the air and you reduce drag, you're also generally reducing wind noise. So things like the mirror change, things like sealing our cowl area up sealing our cowl area more reliably, doing that same treatment we had from the Model 3 update into this one here, continuing through the rear spoiler, rear diffuser. All of those changes that we've done to the product help smoothen the flow of the vehicle, and that then directly correlates to lower wind noise. We also have more laminated glass that also, again, further contributes to lower wind noise. And then you have then some of the absorption on the interior of the vehicle. So a lot of our materials and processes that we used on the inside of the car include a lot more soft touch materials, a lot of acoustically absorbing materials as well. Cool. So you kind of package all that together with updated suspension geometry and body stiffness that we've done. And again, the sum of all those parts is really a significant step change in the NVH performance of this vehicle. And if you've experienced the old Model 3 to the new Model 3, it's another step again on this car that we've been able to do with body structure and stiffening. As it relates to suspension, and jump in here if you need to, as it relates to suspension, some specifics on the front end, we've updated geometries. Slightly slower steering ratio because the car in the past was maybe like, it's a little slightly slower to better match the characteristic of the car. It is an SUV, it has a higher roll center on it, so a slightly slower steering ratio on the front. And then at the rear, the focus has really been on impact rejection. So impact being when you're going over harsh inputs, speed bumps, cracks in the roads, cat eyes in the road, making sure that you don't get that reverberation through the back of the car. So the rear suspension has additional cross bracing through the rear suspension system to stiffen up the lower end to prevent that reverberation, body stiffness improvements, and overall geometry changes.
Yeah, what we also did on the suspension, we went to the same suspension we have on Model 3 with frequency-dependent dampers. The other thing on the body stiffness, what it allowed us, and I think we can maybe when we walk around the car, we can show you and pull the screen, the cowl screen. But when you pull the cowl screen, you will see there's actually an addition of 2 new braces that actually connect the shock tower to the body and allow us to make the overall front end of the body stiffer. We reinforce the rear header where the lift gate is going and attached where the hinges are to, again, improve body stiffness. And on the rear of the car, if one day you want to stick around the car, but under it, there is actually a new brace we've added to connect the subframe to the body, again, to stiffen the back end of the car. So overall, it resulted with a 3% torsional stiffness improvement into the vehicle that then in result allow us to reduce the bushing stiffness to improve the overall comfort of the vehicle without giving away the DNA of our vehicle, which is having a fun handling and drive when you do a mountain road, for example.
Yeah, if you experience a new Model 3, like the frequency selective damper is definitely a big enabler on that, but also you have that confidence when you drive it, that it's able to absorb imperfections, it's able to absorb imperfections in the road and still feel smooth and confident through them. And this exhibits all of that. It's really great.
Can you talk about the new door and latch and seal systems? You know, doors and how they close and the thump that they make. It's kind of important for a lot of buyers. You know, German automakers are known for the door and how they sound. Can you speak to the new latching system?
Yeah, the new latching system is actually the same one as we have on Model 3. Before the transition of the new Model 3, we were using a latch system that was designed by suppliers. But with the new Model 3, we transitioned to a new design that was made in-house that is acoustically sealed latch that allow us to get this improvement when you close it. On top of that, like we discussed, we did a lot of NVH improvement, torsional stiffness improvement that help with not having this reverberation when you close the door. And last but not least, the check strap. So you know what's holding the door and allowing you to have different detent and hold it in different position. We tuned the profile to actually have a smoother closing effort when you opening and closing it. So all of that resulted in this more premium sound when you're closing it.
Specifically the trunk, obviously even the closing system on that, is that software or is that hardware related to even make it close quieter?
Yeah, so if you open the trunk right now, you'll notice on the old Model Y versus the new Model Y, on the left side, on the old Model Y, we had a power strut and the passive strut on the right-hand side. And now on the new Model Y, you have a power strut on both sides. So that allows us to actually approve fit and finish, but also being able to tune the software to have a slower closing effort and having this better, or how do you call this, like quieter noise when you're closing it.
Graceful. It's more graceful. Like it closes more gracefully, more smoothly. Its pinch detection is better. Its operating domain in like cold weather and with snow is better. So it just gives us more flexibility to not only make it fit better geometrically, but also perform better in different environments.
All right, we're going inside the car now. Big question for you. What was the reasoning behind removing the gear stock in favor of touchscreen controls while keeping the turn signal stock?
Okay, turn signals. Yes, we kept turn signals. Yeah. Do you want to take turn signals? Do you want me to take turn signals? Good. We're getting some applauses.
Now we can use our blinkers in roundabouts. We couldn't.
Roundabouts, yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. I think from European market especially, like roundabouts are a lot of feedback. Do you want to take this one or do you want me to take this one?
No, I'll leave it to you.
You leave it to me. That's fine. No, so definitely roundabouts were a big one in Europe where indicators, we got a lot of feedback there that on the Model 3 update that indicators were necessary. So we've done that, and what that allows us to do, actually, like on the Model 3, we have lots of functions on the steering wheel because you end up with like indicators, you end up with high beams, you end up with wipers, camera, and one other.
Wipers, camera,
Voice.
Voice.
Yeah.
So 6. You end up with 6, not including the scroll wheels, right? So that ends up being 3 per side, and then that one function that's like in the middle, you've got like stretching to get it, and that layout is a little clustered. So by taking the indicators out, not only do we attend to the customer feedback we've got, but also it allows us to simplify the buttons. So then we end up with like 2 and 2 either side. So that makes it ergonomically better as well. And then for drive selector, I think drive selector right now, it's with auto shift, and like if any of you have experienced full self driving and auto shift, it's really getting more and more mature. I use it every day, and I think that'll become more and more proficient. It is right there on the screen, right next to you when you're ready to go, so it self-presents. And we didn't get anywhere near the feedback on drive selector, and we believe that we've got a solid solution there for auto shift.
Yeah, and if you also look at the indicator stock, we didn't go back to a full 2 detent. I think some of you probably noticed there's like, you have 1 detent and then you have a second detent. We didn't do that. We just went with 1 detent because also now with the auto cancel, which is working very well, we didn't think it was necessary to go with a 2 detent where you can just like stick and the indicator remains on, because we have the auto cancel again with the firmware, with auto shift, it's getting much better.
So how did you guys also achieve the fastest rear folding seats in the industry? And I also noticed too today, like the front seats, so if there's someone sitting in it, it actually will go down partial, but if there's no one sitting in it, it will be able to move up accordingly, and then it moves back after it's down. So
Yeah, the seat conversation we had in the design studio was very interesting. When we talked about, okay, let's have this power recline seats, we had a design and the seat were folding in 7 seconds. Okay, and we were like, today when you you push the button with the spring, it's actually like instantaneous. It's like 1 second. And we were like, if it's 7 seconds, you're holding something, you go to Home Depot, you're like, okay, now I have to wait with the auto front feature now as well. So we're like, okay, we need to find a way, we need to challenge those 7 seconds, because in the industry, like 7 seconds is pretty normal. So our design team went back, worked with the supplier, designed like a bespoke gearbox that allows us to actually shave off those seconds and get to actually an end product of 4.5 seconds.
wow.
Yeah, break the requirements. That's like, it's very easy to accept industry standard. It's very easy to accept it and take what's off the shelf and go for it. But no, we didn't stop there. Like, we weren't satisfied with that product, and so yeah, in-house design of the gearbox and some work with some of our partners, and we got there.
You guys also redesigned the center console. You added interior LED lights. You have some new woven and textured dashboard materials. Those are all refinements. Can you speak to how these design changes help enhance the premium feel of the interior?
Yeah, I think like the wood is gone. I think we're looking at it. We're like, okay, what we want to do is with craftsmanship, we always want to make sure that the car like is still a calm, quiet, and serene environment. So with the aluminum addition, the genuine aluminum addition, we wanted to make it more premium. We also added like stitch on the IP, stitch on or a bezel around the console. Again, it's not trying to put too much jewel. We're just making it like a nicer, more serene environment. Again, like Nathan mentioned earlier, when we talked about the NVH, we used more premium material, not just to make the overall cabin look more premium, but also serve a purpose of improving NVH. Okay, so if you were to touch the headliner and the pillars, there's actually a foam backing of 2.5. So haptic-wise, it's improved for you, but also on the NVH side, it's a major improvement for overall cabin noise, road noise. On top of that, like we wrapped a lot of the materials. There's no more molding color on the door trims, on the console. All the materials have been wrapped. We also improved the trunks because the Model Y is really a family vehicle where you also load and load a lot of items. You go to Home Depot, and in the past with the molding color, it would get scratched. So now we have carpeted trunk side trim as well as liftgate that got covered completely, and it's better for overall like when you want to load it and avoid scratches. Other thing we've done is hiding the speakers. Okay, so the liftgate speakers are still there, but they are hidden behind the fabrics. And all, again, is like we want you to not know where the sound is coming from and enjoy this overall ambience and atmosphere when you're riding the car.
No, that's awesome. You know, one of the things that I love about my Cybertruck, because I think it was the first one that had it, right, was the front-facing camera. So you brought that to the Model Y. So, you know, what was the thought behind that? Is autopilot or FSD integrated at all with that? And then, you know, do we think the Model 3 Highland is going to get it?
Yeah, so there's a specific challenge on Model Y in that it's like Model 3 doesn't have this challenge to the same extent in that the fact that Model Y is larger and taller, it has a larger blind spot in front of the front fascia. And so when we're doing things like actually Smart Summon, it allows us to like identify that area in front of the car. So that's the primary function for the front fascia camera and the reason why like Model Y specifically gets it. And Cybertruck, yeah, those larger vehicles with the bigger blind spot in front. Yeah.
So I thought now we could actually transition and go, if you guys want to start walking around, because I think we answered a lot of the major questions, and I know as far as time, I know there's a lot of things you guys want to get into.
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple of extras like that are probably worth mentioning when we go through this. One of the big ones I want to talk about on the back end is really the damageability improvements we've done to this. Like not only do we have here like a one-piece light bar that expands the entire length of the car and looks really, really cool, but the other thing we've done in this layout is actually try and make it better for damageability. Yeah. And then with power seat fold here at the rear as well, like hands-free trunk opening. So phone paired, hands-free trunk opening, no need to worry about getting out and pressing the button if you have shopping bags. Yeah, so roof glass is another big one. So this is actually metallically coated roof glass that includes 2 layers of silver in it to improve heat rejection and thermal performance inside the cabin. And as you look at like internal comfort within the car, it's quite easy, and a lot of automakers do this, where they just start blowing more air onto you. And there comes a point where like the more air you blow onto someone doesn't necessarily make you more comfortable. It might make you cooler, but on a really hot day, just blowing more air doesn't actually make the person more comfortable. So when we take a look at like thermal performance, it's the same thing with range. We're chasing efficiency, right? And efficiency means trying to prevent the heat from getting in the car in the first place. So if you're on that long road trip, if we can reduce the fan speeds, kind of counterintuitively, that's actually more comfortable for you because we're not like throwing all this cold air at the occupant.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about glass, we actually now have all the glass have been are laminated, so the rear glass are laminated. The backlight is not at the moment, but the rear glass are now laminated, which overall, like when you close the door, there's a semi truck driving next to you. It's really quiet. All the work we've done around the seat belt. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on the second row, the seat belt right now in the current Model Y is right here. and now we move the seat belt in the C-pillar. So I don't know if you have this sometime in my Model Y is like, you move in the second row, you have folded the seat belt is stuck behind, you have to do this chicken wing and you struggle to grab it, and now we just like move it there, and it's like
Tesla, that's like 14
every
years.
single time you just grab it, and it's really easy. And overall, so it's improving overall like usability, and it actually improve comfort and safety for the second row passenger. So we added the blind spot indicator like we have on the new Model 3 inside the tweeter in the door, and Cybertruck, yeah. And then another improvement we've done is we've added the in-cabin radar. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but we actually have an in-cabin radar inside the header in the first row, and that allowed us to actually, it's a 4D imaging radar that allows us to actually use it in order to detect passenger in the first row, classify them based on their size, or we want to, deploy the overall airbag system, and will also allow us in the future for us to be able to also detect child or having a child presence detection in the second row. So that's something we will enable in the third quarter of this year. Because right now there's not really a way for us to be able to detect if a kid or children was left behind. But with this new 4D imaging system that we have, we're able to detect heart rate and breathing human, and be able to like open window, call the emergency, call 911, or even turn the HVAC if someone is left behind and send a reminder.
Yeah, this is one of these technologies that Tesla's just like blown up the industry on. It's not as well known as maybe some of the other ones, but it absolutely is, because like there is a system within cars that tries to detect how big a person is in order to fine tune the airbags and how they deploy and how they react to the occupant. And it's moderately accurate, but with this system here, we got it exact. So it'll give us another lever to be able to further improve our airbag deployments and our safety restraint systems, to go even further in terms of like being able to protect our occupants based on their size and their ergonomics. Okay, so yes, you would have noticed that Model 3 does have a little catch here on the bottom of the doors. And Model 3 had a particular challenge in that, like, this gets back to our safety, our data-driven safety that we have at Tesla, where we're able to see what kind of impacts our cars get in, and able to look at our entire fleet, analyze that data and go like, oh, look, here's a particular scenario that's not covered by the regulations, we should test for that. And that particular scenario was a large SUV or truck T-boning a car. And on Model 3 is particularly vulnerable because it's a lower car. What that meant was for those larger SUVs, they didn't engage with the side crash structure that's here protecting the battery pack. And so what that meant, that all that load went into the doors and the B-pillar, and we needed to react that somehow. And so that's the reason why we added that catch to Model 3. Model Y sits higher, so its existing crash structure engages better with those larger vehicles, and we're able to use the package protection that we have around the battery pack to absorb that energy. So existing Model Y was already good enough in that case, and it already cleared that mark. So anything else in zero, Emmanuel?
Yeah, I think one thing on the Airwave 2.0, overall performance is as good as the current Model Y, but it enables us to do some new features. It's not on this firmware, but it's going to come for first customer deliveries in the month of March. But now what we've been able to do is that we have this, how do you call it? We have these swing features of the air vent. So the air vent is being able to swing side by side. Same thing as your oscillating fan that you have at home. So if you want to be able to have this feature, or you want to be able to feel this type of comfort, that's an option that now is available on this vehicle. From the HEPA filter, bio weapon defense is still there.
Yeah, I think we're getting out of range, but yeah, HEPA filters, like people don't appreciate how significant a HEPA filter is from a thermal system. Like, go to any other car and the air filter's like this big. The HEPA filter is like huge, and the amount of filtration that you get out of the HEPA filter on the existing Model Y is really massively industry leading. One of the things that I think we're like really proud of at Tesla at the moment is some of the focus that we have on quality, build quality overall. It's really like at the point now where like you can put this next to any German competitor or whatever. We've got the data. Like it is as good as anything else coming out of elsewhere in the world. Both of our factories in North America, Fremont and Austin, are really doing a really fantastic job of like root causing issues, finding problems, and just doing that like old school. Get it on the gauge, find out what the quality problem is, fix it, and iterate to get that level of quality and finish that we've got. And I think it really shows. Like, and it also shows in things like NVH. So like the only way that we can get the sound performance out of this car is actually by building the car in such a way that it's sealed and it's dimensionally right, so all the seals can work. So it's been a massive like task on that to like fix all of those little 1%ers. So that we can like do that.
Hear it in the doors.
Yep.
The doors shut the lock that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is there active noise canceling inside the cabin too?
Nope. No, we've been able to do this all without active noise cancelling, and you know, when you get an opportunity to drive it, which is not hopefully too far away, I hope you'll be civically impressed.